If you thought the Mahindra Thar 3-door was already one of the most recognizable SUVs on Indian roads, Mahindra may be preparing to make it even more attractive. A new version of the iconic 3-door Thar has once again been spotted testing, and this time, the changes appear to be more than just a small cosmetic update. The biggest story is that the upcoming Thar 3-door facelift appears to be taking inspiration from its bigger sibling, the Thar Roxx. From the front-end design to the lighting signature and possibly even the cabin, Mahindra seems to be giving the smaller Thar a more premium and modern identity, while still keeping the rugged character that made the Thar so popular in the first place. So, what exactly is changing, what could remain the same, and when can we expect this updated Thar on the road? Let's take a closer look. The Mahindra Thar has built a unique position in the Indian SUV market. It is not just an off-roader anymore. For many buyers, it has become a lifestyle vehicle, a statement of road presence, and one of Mahindra's most recognizable products. But with the arrival of the 5-door Thar Roxx, the pressure on the 3-door model has increased. The Roxx brought a more premium appearance, additional technology, and a more sophisticated cabin, while the 3-door Thar continued with its traditional rugged formula. Now, Mahindra appears ready to bring some of that newer design language back to the original 3-door Thar. The latest test vehicle is heavily camouflaged, but several important details can still be seen. Starting at the front, the most noticeable change is expected to be the headlight design. The facelift Thar appears to feature circular LED projector headlights with C-shaped daytime running lights. This is a significant change from the current 3-door model and gives the SUV a more modern appearance. The C-shaped lighting signature is clearly inspired by the Thar Roxx, helping the smaller Thar look more closely related to its bigger sibling. The grille is also expected to receive an update. Instead of the familiar design currently used on the 3-door Thar, the new model appears to feature a revised 6-slot grille with a 2-part or double-stacked appearance. Combined with the new headlights, this could make the front of the Thar look wider, more aggressive, and more premium. The front bumper is also expected to be redesigned, with changes around the fog lamp area and lower sections. These may look like small changes individually, but together they could give the Thar a noticeably fresher face. And that's important because the Thar's basic silhouette is already extremely recognizable. Mahindra doesn't need to completely redesign it. Instead, the company appears to be modernizing the details while keeping the classic boxy proportions that people associate with the Thar. Moving to the side, the overall 3-door profile is expected to remain familiar. The upright windshield, squared-off body, removable roof options and short wheelbase are all important parts of the Thar's identity. However, new alloy wheel designs are expected, with some reports suggesting larger wheels could also be introduced on higher variants. The side profile may also receive updated cladding and other small design revisions. At the rear, the changes are expected to be more subtle, but the lighting signature could once again take inspiration from the Thar Roxx. The LED tail lamps are expected to receive revised detailing, while the rear bumper could also be updated. The spare wheel will continue to dominate the rear of the SUV, because that is one of the visual elements that instantly identifies the Thar as a rugged off-roader. So, while this is called a facelift, don't expect a completely new Thar. Instead, think of it as the current 3-door Thar getting a more modern and premium makeover. But the exterior isn't the only interesting part. The interior could be where this update becomes much more important. Earlier spy shots have suggested that Mahindra could bring several elements inspired by the Thar Roxx into the 3-door cabin. One of the biggest expected upgrades is a larger infotainment touchscreen. Reports have pointed towards a 10.25-inch touchscreen, which would make the cabin feel significantly more modern compared with the older setup. A revised steering wheel is also expected, along with updated controls and other small changes around the dashboard. There could also be improvements to convenience features. Depending on the variant, expected additions could include a push-button start system, wireless charging, power-folding ORVMs, and auto-dimming inside rearview mirror and potentially ventilated front seats. However, remember that these features have not all been officially confirmed by Mahindra. They may be limited to higher variants, while lower versions could continue with a simpler equipment package. Another important area is the instrument cluster. There have been reports suggesting that Mahindra could introduce a more modern digital instrument display, potentially bringing the three-door Thar closer to the technology level of the Roxx. If Mahindra manages to combine the rugged Thar cabin with these modern features, it could make the SUV much more appealing as an everyday vehicle. And that brings us to one of the biggest questions: what will happen under the hood? For the powertrain, major mechanical changes are not expected. The facelift is likely to continue with the existing petrol and diesel engine family. That means the 2.0-liter turbo petrol engine could continue producing around 152 horsepower and 300 Nm of torque. The 2.2-liter diesel engine is expected to remain another important option, producing around 132 horsepower and 300 Nm. There is also the smaller 1.5-liter diesel engine, which is available in the rear-wheel drive version and produces around 119 horsepower and 300 Nm according to recent reports. Transmission options are expected to include a 6-speed manual, while a 6-speed automatic could continue with the larger petrol and diesel engines. Four-wheel drive is also expected to remain a major part of the Thar's identity. The 2.0-liter turbo petrol and 2.2-liter diesel versions are expected to continue offering 4WD, while the 1.5-liter diesel remains focused on the more affordable rear-wheel drive configuration. And honestly, this makes sense. The Thar doesn't need a completely new engine lineup right now. Its biggest opportunity is to improve refinement, technology, comfort and everyday usability without sacrificing its off-road capability. Mahindra could also make changes to the suspension tuning. The Thar is known for its rugged setup, but everyday road comfort has always been an important consideration for buyers. A slightly more comfortable suspension setup could make the facelift model better suited to city driving and long highway journeys while still maintaining its off-road character. Another interesting question is whether Mahindra will improve insulation and cabin refinement. The Thar's rugged construction is part of its appeal, but customers increasingly expect lifestyle SUVs to offer better comfort. With the Thar Roxx already moving the nameplate in a more premium direction, the three-door version could benefit from some of that philosophy as well. Now let's talk about the launch. Mahindra has not officially confirmed the exact launch date for this updated three-door Thar. However, multiple reports suggest that the facelift could arrive in the coming months, with some current industry reports pointing towards late 2026. Because this is still a test vehicle, the final launch timing and specifications can change. And that brings us to pricing. The current three-door Thar sits roughly in the 10 rupees lakh to 17 rupees lakh ex-showroom range, depending on the variant and powertrain. The facelift is expected to be positioned slightly higher, particularly if Mahindra adds more premium features and technology. Some estimates currently place the updated model's starting price around 10 rupees lakh or slightly above, but Mahindra has not officially announced pricing. So don't treat these numbers as final. The biggest question is whether the new Thar will become more expensive without becoming significantly better. If Mahindra brings the Roxx-inspired styling, improved cabin technology, better comfort and retains the powerful engine options, the price increase could be easier for buyers to justify. And there is another interesting factor. The three-door Thar and the five-door Thar Roxx are now serving two different types of customers. The three-door version remains the more compact, traditional and lifestyle-focused choice. The Roxx, on the other hand, offers more space and practicality for families. That means Mahindra doesn't necessarily need to make the three-door Thar as practical as the Roxx. Instead, the company can focus on making it more exciting, more premium and more desirable. And that's exactly what these spy shots seem to suggest. The new Thar could essentially become a combination of classic Thar attitude and modern Roxx-inspired design. But will it still be a proper off-roader? Everything we know so far suggests yes. The body-on-frame architecture, rugged proportions, high ground clearance and four-wheel drive options are expected to remain. So the facelift shouldn't fundamentally change what makes the Thar capable away from the road. Instead, Mahindra appears to be improving everything around that core formula. Better lighting. More modern styling. More technology. More comfort. And potentially a more premium cabin. The biggest challenge will be keeping the Thar's unique personality intact. Because the reason people love the three-door Thar is not because it looks like every other modern SUV. It is because it looks different. It is boxy, rugged, and instantly recognizable. If Mahindra gets the balance right, the facelift could make the Thar even more desirable without losing that original character. And personally, I think the Roxx-inspired front end could be one of the biggest improvements. The circular LED headlights with C-shaped DRLs could give the three-door Thar a much more modern face, while the revised grille could make it look tougher and wider. Inside, a larger touchscreen and more premium features could finally bring the cabin closer to what modern SUV buyers expect. But the most important thing is that Mahindra doesn't overcomplicate it. The Thar doesn't need to become a luxury SUV. It simply needs to become a better version of the rugged lifestyle SUV that people already love. So, if the latest spy shots are anything to go by, the upcoming Mahindra Thar three-door facelift could be one of the most interesting updates to the iconic SUV. It looks familiar, but more modern. It looks rugged, but potentially more premium. And it could deliver some of the Thar Roxx's design and technology without losing the compact three-door character. Now I want to know what you think. Would you choose this new three-door Thar over the bigger Thar Roxx? Do you prefer the classic Thar design, or do you like this new Roxx-inspired look? Let me know your opinion in the comments. And if you enjoyed this latest automotive update, make sure to like this video, subscribe to AutoBuzz 360, and turn on the notification bell for more upcoming cars, motorcycles, spy shots and automotive news. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.